Demonstrations in the streets, a staple of 1960s and 70s activism, are back. Last Thursday at Queen's Park, anti-poverty activists threw rocks at baton-wielding riot police. And this past weekend, people once again took to the streets, but this time the protest was peaceful, and it wasn't aimed at Mike Harris, but rather at the 26th annual Hamilton International Air Show.
More than 30,000 people attended the city's renowned display of flight. Crowds caught their breath at the sight of the Thunderbolt, the Hornet, and the Lancaster soaring through the air. But at the gates, there was a different crowd, the Father's Day Coalition for Peace. For them, the weekend's show was not an air show, but a war show.
This is a peaceful protest of one of our rights as Canadians, and I just want to ensure no one gets hurt.
War as entertainment is like just as bad as war.
The regional municipality of Hamilton funds this war show, subsidizes it because the war show is not profitable. It loses money every year. They subsidize it $100,000 every year. That's $100,000 that's not going to homeless shelters.
You have to stay on the gravel shoulder. We've been informed anything further in is private property, and you know how we value that in this culture. So that's why we have the warplanes.
The Lancaster, of course, the most outstanding heavy bomber of the Second World War, and was the only aircraft capable of carrying the 22,000-pound Grand Slam bomb.
We're a not-for-profit charitable organization. Our aim is to feed back to the community the enjoyment, the excitement, the entertainment, the education that's possible through an air show.
Want to try this one on?
Oh, put that on, Drew. There's the
Want to
real.
trade? What do you think?
Hey, yeah, try that on.
Ready?
That's the real. Oh, look at that, Drew. Wow.
There you go.
Oh, man.
We are a celebration of aviation in all of its aspects here. The military is a small component.
It's going to save your noggin whenever you need it, though.
Voiceless are those that have died at the hands of these war instruments.
Right where the man in the stilts is, everyone on that side of the sign.
You want everyone behind that sign,
yes.
right?
And these two people, so if they could stand over the sign, two would be very fine. That'd be a nice compromise.
Well,
okay.
I'll find Murray then. Yeah, I don't. It's too far away.
Right, but this is public property, so there's no reason that we should need to leave that space.
Speak with our superintendent.
I want to deal with like one person and not 20.
Just say no to war.
In Iraq and Yugoslavia, there the children have suffered because of war.
In recent weeks, we've been horrified by images of child soldiers in Sierra Leone, and recently a Hamilton student was arrested when he brought in a realistic-looking gun. So outside, in our own Hamilton community and the global community, we are concerned about a culture of war. Yet inside, for instance, there's an activity for children called the Kiddie Commando, where children are run through an obstacle course with Canadian Forces personnel, and as if war is play.
Let's go, run! Let's go, attend it!
Children are fascinated with obstacle courses, fascinated with the idea of crawling over ropes and under tires and the like. This is an opportunity for kids to get out and get muddy, get dirty, perfectly sanctioned by their parents, and have a good time.
Well, I think it's great. A little muddy, but I think we'll survive that.
My favorite part was the maze. My favorite part was going through the mud.
Anything to do with an air show has a component of militarism with it.
Had something to do with the planes in the air, because some of the planes in the air are from the Army.
This is an opportunity for parents to drag their children aside and teach them. Teach them about the meaning of peace. Teach them about the meaning of security. Teach them that peace is not secured without justice.
story told of what these planes actually do.
We shall overcome someday.
I'm just here to have a good time. I don't need them messing with my day.
And we like to commemorate the people who have actually been on these planes and who have fought for us in the various wars.
Canadians have some very key positions at the NATO AWACS base in Geilenkirchen. We're based in Germany, and we flew over here just to see you guys. I'm the operations wing commander there, so I'm in charge of the entire operation. We were very busy last year with this airplane, of course, because the Operation Allied Force, which was over Bosnia and Kosovo, this airplane was the command and control platform that controlled all the fighters, all the bombers, all the tankers that fought in that war. If it's a bad guy out there, as it was when we were in Kosovo, he'll make the decision as to whether we engage him and shoot him down. We want peace more than anything else because we're the ones that have to give up our lives to get peace. So in terms of peace, I'd say we're even more committed than the people at the gate who are protesting.
There will be a meeting for the citizens inspectors just behind me immediately. If citizens inspectors and support people could come and meet. Thank you.
We're trying to inspect the warshow for violations of international law. Most of the warplanes in this warshow have violated international law and Canadian law. Laws against the indiscriminate bombing of civilian populations, as we saw in Iraq and the former Yugoslavia. The planes that did that are here today. So they're here illegally.
We're going to stop right here, gentlemen. This is the line.
Another leader here. Inspection certificate. It says that we've been trained in nonviolence, so we mean no harm at all to you as police officers. But we're asking you to allow us into the site so that we can inspect these warplanes and determine whether or not they should be removed from Canadian soil.
We try to guarantee a peaceful demonstration today.
Understood.
Okay. One of the rules is that you aren't to come on the property charged with trespassing. Unfortunately, I'm not an expert in international law, so if you do not leave, you will give me no other option than to arrest you for trespassing. So I'm asking the citizens of this community and people that promise us that this will be a peaceful day to please observe what we agreed upon in the beginning and remove yourself to the designated points.
Well, at this point, I'm going to sit down because if you feel threatened by what I'm doing, I'm going to sit down and be completely peaceful and passive because you're obviously not letting us in.
Exactly, and I'll respect that.
Thank you. They have the right to their view. Of course they do. But I don't think they fully understand the magnitude of what goes on over there. All they see is what they see on CNN.
The agent has a well-earned reputation for strength and striking power. Her reputation earned the war in the Middle East, where H-10s destroyed thousands of enemy armored vehicles, artillery, and Scud sites.
Anyone is allowed into the air show provided they pay their admission and provided they act peacefully. Okay? We were tipped off in advance that what they really wanted to do was inspect the aircraft to ensure that the aircraft weren't violating any international laws or conventions. Of course, that crosses the bounds between being a spectator and being an inspector, and the two are totally different.
You're peacefully resisting, but you will be arrested for trespassing. Is there anything that I could say or do to make you remove yourselves from the property to the assigned points?
Can you arrange to have the planes removed from Hamilton International Airport, the B-52 bombers?
Could you stop the Kitty Commando show from happening?
The protesters outside the gate have an interesting point that we don't want to glorify war because war is not glorious. I can tell you, war is terrifying. I have been shot at. I have had someone try to take my life away from me and know that they were shooting at me. You're scared. You're very scared. But you focused on what it is that you're doing. And as long as you know what you're doing is right, at least you believe that it's right, you do it.
You're under arrest.
Are you